Hey guys, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you 5 different ways of drawing manga eyes, and I hope these ones are kind of unique. I tried to make them different from other ones you see on YouTube. The first one's probably the most generic of them all, but I'm going to do 3 female eyes and then 2 male eyes. So I'm just going to jump right in, I guess, and get started. So for the first one, it has an oval shape for the iris. And I just started with a very loose, light circle to get the shape. And then I'm thickening the outlines of it. And then for the lash line, I'm going to start it almost halfway down the iris, but a little bit higher. And it's going to cut across, come around this side. And this is actually a left eye, so if you were looking at a person, it'd be on the right-hand side of the face for us. I'm going to bring this side down farther than the other. And I'm going to start thickening it now that I'm happy with the shape. And across the top is actually going to touch the iris. And then I'm just going to alter the shape of this a little bit because I didn't have the lash line touching quite as much as I wanted to, so I'm just extending that up a bit. And I'm just going to keep working at the shape of the lash line till I'm happy with it. Also at this end here, I'm going to make it curl in a little bit. But the rest of it is quite uniform and round. And then at the very end, I'm going to fork the line so it's a couple little eyelashes there. And I'm also going to add a couple eyelashes right here. I always just work in one direction. I start at the base and just sort of flick my pencil out. I find that gets the most natural line. And then on the other side, I'm going to add some more lashes. The amount you want to add is completely up to you. And I always add one little line at the top just to show a bit of fold in the eyelid. And I think I'm actually going to switch pencils because this is an HB and it feels very, very hard. So it's looking very, very reflective. I'm going to switch to my 2B pencil, which is mechanical, so I don't know, it's harder to sketch with a mechanical pencil, but it's going to look better for you guys. And I'm going to also add in a lower lash line, and this is going to be a lash line that's touching, because you can have lash lines that don't actually touch the iris, but this one will. I'm also making this one thick, and the ends are very sort of frayed, I guess, and that's again to show some lashes. And I'm just going to go back in at the top and make this almost look a little bit more frayed just to match it. And that's most of it for the eye. We just need to color the inside now. Just going to darken these outer edges. And there's so many different ways to draw the inside of the eye. I'm going to go with one big highlight here, a smaller one here, and then a little oval one on this side. Then I'll sketch in the pupil. And then to shade this one, I'm going to make the pupil not completely dark. I'm going to go sort of a medium tone, and I'm going to get darker as I get to the top of the eye. And then it's just going to be a bit of a gradient and fade out into the white. Also, another thing I like to do is shade just sort of along this edge. And I think I'll just do the really light shading along the bottom. This is really hard with a mechanical pencil, but there we go. I think that is it for the first eye, so now I'll move on to the second eye. That took quite a while for just that one eye, so I'm going to try to speed this up a little. This eye is more of a circular shape. On another note, some people like to start with the eyelash shape first. I like to start with the iris most of the time, not always. If I'm doing a really long squished eye, I usually do the lash line first. That's probably what I'll be doing for the male eyes once I get to those. Anyways, so the shape of this one is also quite round, except it's more squished. So I'm starting sort of far out on this side, cutting across, and then on this side again it comes out quite far and then curls in quite a bit. And a tip for getting the angle for this, imagine if you extended this line, you want it to fit and curve underneath here. So if it's jutting inwards too much, that just looks weird because you don't want the corner of the eye like poking into the eye. So that's just a little tip. And the bottom eyelash, the lash line, whatever you want to call it, eyelid, it's not going to be quite touching the iris. It's going to be a little off, and I'm going to add a couple little lashes. But I'm keeping this one a lot thinner than the one above. Now thickening the upper eyelid. And again, it's not as thick as the one I was doing before. It's hard to do this without rotating the paper or without completely covering what I'm drawing. Gonna add a little eyelash on this side. Add the lashes on this side. A lot of times I draw in the lashes just like that, just to position them, then I go in and I thicken the base a little bit. And again with a little eyelid crease. And inside it's going to be close to the last one. I'm going to do a smaller, rounder highlight. Position my the pupil. I'm also going to have a little highlight right there. So I'm going to shade in the pupil, making it a bit darker towards the bottom. Shading up here. Darken the top. And then for a little bit more detail in the iris, I'm going to add little zigzags. And I leave little spaces between them, and I try to make them different lengths. And that just adds a bit more detail to the iris. So now I'm going to move on to the third eye. So for this next eye, I'm actually going to do the eyelids first because it's quite an interesting shape. I'm doing a curved line and it's sort of at an angle. Actually, that's too much of an angle. I'll redo that. And then on this side, the lower lash line is actually connected. Swoops down. And doesn't quite connect on this far side. And I'm going to make the upper eyelash thicker than the bottom, And then right where they connect, I'm also going to thicken the bottom one. And then again, I'm just going to fork the little lashes right at the end. Add a couple eyelashes on that side. Add a couple bigger ones on this side. Do the little eyelid crease. And I'm going to add a couple lashes over on this side. It's so hard at that angle, I've got to twist it. And now for the iris. The iris is partially covered more than these two. This one is just slightly chopped off. This one's hardly chopped off at all. This one is going to be quite chopped off at the top. And then this one I'm going to do a bit differently inside. I'm going to have a bit of a shine at the bottom and it's going to arc. So I'm going to do a little rainbow shape. Try not to do it too dark. Then I'm going to draw in the pupil location. And the trick is we want to leave this part here really light. So when I shade in the pupil, I don't want to do that part too dark. And then when shading inside of it, I just want to stay really, really light. And you can go back and add another highlight in there if you like. I kind of didn't leave room for one, so I'm just going to not add that in. And that is pretty much it for that eye. You might want to add another eyelash, that's freaking me out. But yeah, I'm going to move on to the male eyes now. So this first male eye is going to be sort of an elongated eye. So again, I'm going to start off with the shape of the eyelids. And it's pretty flat across the top, but it goes up a little bit at the end. And then this side of the eye is going to come down at an angle. And come down like that. And I'm also going to do a little hook down from the top. Like that. And you want to make sure these sort of line up. So you can see mine don't quite line up. So I'm just going to fix that a little bit. But I'm still going to leave that gap in there. And the position of the iris. This iris is about half covered by the eyelid. So it's going to be a semicircle. So now that I have the basics done, I'm going to go in and thicken certain areas. The upper lash line is relatively thin. And gets thicker at the corner, like they normally do. And then on my way down, the thickness is fading into a thin line. Again, right where this line connects, make it a bit thicker, just so it doesn't look as weird. And we'll add the little eyelid fold. And then for the inside, I'm going to make the pupil sort of small. It's small compared to the other drawings I've done. And I'm just going to completely color it in black. I'm not going to be doing any highlights in this eye, but you can add some if you want. And then I'm just going to do my typical gradient, darkest at the top, slowly get lighter. Pretty basic. So that's it for that eye. So this next male eye isn't quite as evil looking. I'm going to again start with the lash line. This is going to be a curved line, and then it's going to come down a little bit like that, not too far, and the bottom one's going to be quite round. But the deepest part of this U shape is slightly closer to that side. Now I'm going to thicken this line here. This lash line is a lot thicker than the previous eye. Doing the little fork at the end. And that got a little bit too thick there. So that's the basic shape of the outer part of the eye. Guess I'll add that little crease right now. I don't know if you noticed, but I always do the crease more towards the inside of the eye. I don't know why, it just looks better that way to me. And then it doesn't really interfere with your eyelashes when you're drawing eyelashes. So again, for this one, the eye is about half covered, but a bit less. Really, it doesn't matter. You can do it however you want. Another interesting stylistic choice is to not quite join these two lines. So I think I'm going to leave that one as it is. And also notice that I thickened these lines at the top. So pupil is going to be kind of like I did with my other eyes. I'm going to add a little highlight, and I'm going to make it an oval shaped highlight just because his eye is sort of oval shaped all around. I don't know if that even makes sense. Technically, the ball of his eye is perfectly round, so it should be a round highlight, but whatever. It's a cartoon. Okay, so I'm going to do my gradient thing, where it gets lighter and darker at the top. Fades to light. And again, I'm going to do the little details, the little zigzags. And yeah, that is pretty much that for that eye. So I'll just go through the eyes again. We had this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys, and thanks for watching.